We're going to talk about something Star Wars related, and I'm so glad that nothing in the history of ever relating to Star Wars has ever been controversial. Hi everyone, Kyle from Cosplays from Trash here, and you may be saying, hey Kyle, it's not even Thanksgiving yet, why are you wearing Christmas stuff? And then I will say, shut up. One of my favorite parts about interacting with my patrons over at Patreon is actually some of the giveaways and contests. I have, 30 trillion ideas up in here, but obviously I want to make things that people like. A raffle I had about 2 months ago, Colton won. This is my face here because it'd be weird to put their face here. The raffle prize, which is a hard phrase to say, is a pretty vague instruction of like, what would you like me to do cosplay-wise? Colton really likes Star Wars, and we kind of came up with a really vague idea of take an old costume and make it better and Star Warsy. And we decided, let's make Pikachu, but Star Wars. Ooh. This will be a series of videos talking about how I made the lightsaber and the robes and eventually made a Pikachu Jedi. Post-production, and one thing that I forgot to say is that this video is going to mostly follow me around, and you can see just how chaotic things are when Kyle makes cosplays from trash in his basement. If you're looking to make a lightsaber at home, the first thing that you'll need is some sort of base. Typically, the most common thing is going to be some sort of PVC pipe, but you could also use some other type of plastic or metal. But regardless of what material you're going to use, you want a couple different layers, and you're going to be framing everything. Finally, step 1 is done. This is really warm, and I shouldn't have picked it up. Lightsabers are roughly 10 to 13 inches long, and so I cut this 10 and a half. This is going to be the main base of it. Let's hope it looks okay. Similar to the Magic build, I just have metal stuff. I've hooked up like 50 different lightsabers. Well, I don't really know what I'm doing. We're gonna start kind of putting things together and see what looks okay. Let's go on an adventure. Wow, what if I just clean things? No. Once again, I don't remember where I picked it up, but beggars can't be choosers. Honestly, probably just some adhesive would make it better. It's not a fit. It's not a smooth fit. And this is version 2. Yes, that's a bartender strainer thingy.
It's like 2 in the morning. And I just remembered that all of my PVC glue is dry. Good night.
After that, you are going to want to start layering things. There is so much Star Wars lore I don't know. My knowledge is so low. Point is, all lightsabers are pretty different, and they're pretty intricate, and they have a lot of flair on them. You're going to want to add layers and just other things that can make a more dynamic structure. You don't just want a boring pole. Where are you at right now? Oh, good question, Kyle. When you're trying to make, something that is semi-original or just texture or just differentness can add to the aesthetic of it. Ended up doing this. So the blade, technically blade because it's a lightsaber. I don't think I want to make the metal really poke up through there. Maybe just a little bit. End up looking like that-ish. But yeah, this piece is just cut at an angle and sanded down. Obviously, you should really be safe all the time, but especially when like grinding metal, that's a probably good reason to use eye protection. I like Star Wars, I guess. It's one of those things I don't really I really like Episode 5. Definitely smooth that out a little bit. One good way to always add volume, or I guess in this case, diameter, just wrap things around your cylinder. It just helps make things a little bit more snug. I want this to be as snug as a pug and a nug. Like so. Choom, choom, choom. This is the 15th time I've been a groomsman. Isn't there a movie about that? No, that's 27 dresses. I am covered in dust. Would I say that I'm good at crafting? No. This is 13 inches long. We're going to make it a little shorter. Just use a Sharpie. No. So I'm merely going to mark where the middle of this is. Okay, now I am using a Sharpie for the other piece. But I'm measuring it so that this line gets covered. Because I'm an adult. Is this gaff tape? Snug. Muy snug. The worst bilingual in the world. I don't know what the word snug is in Spanish. I feel like I should know that. Give him the old razzle dazzle. Razzle dazzle. Alright, so we're just gonna ram this on there. Someone can take that the wrong way. It's nice to have all this together so that the pieces aren't rattling around. And by thickening the diameter of something like this, it's pretty... I guess using friction, you can hold things in place temporarily. It's raining. Do that a lot to test things. And I like this texture that we have. So even though it is garbage, I like all of the different textures. And now I just got to figure out what other doohickeys to put on here. This is really attaching everything, or at least how things are going to be attached. I mean, pretty much any way you could think of, you could technically just start attaching things to a lightsaber, lining up everything, taping things down with scotch tape and kind of seeing like, hey, does this look okay? Is it gonna hold? You know, if I'm gonna paint this later in the process, how am I gonna disassemble everything? Like,
welcome back. That was 8 seconds ago. I have so many metal bits and bobs, I really don't know what I want to do. This looks silly. I like this, kind of, for the end of it. Let's go get some metal. So we're just gonna... The Star Wars universe, while pretty technologically advanced, scavenging is a big part of it, and there is a lot of different technologies scattered across, you know, a vast galaxy. You know, you scavenge some pretty nice technology, but it's very rustic. And I'm going to flatten this a little bit more, like that. And it looks appropriate. I have not quite figured out how I'm going to fill this gap, though. I always say, I don't make the rules, but I do. How am I going to connect this? So I really don't like rain. It's because I really don't like getting wet. Being wet is a terrible sensation. Cool. Also, this stool, thank you, John. This is an amazing stool. Like, I had been looking at one for a while, and I was because I had one that didn't have wheels. I just scooted it around like a dog that was scratching its butt. Okay. Arbitrary. No, I don't like that. That doesn't matter.
Okay, so this is a great example of, Kyle, why are you always naked? Because I'm going to a Halloween party and I'm in the middle of changing, but I had to put my clothes back in the dryer, so why would I put on clothes just... Anyway, lightsaber.
Just went through a lot of my bits and bobs that I have and came up with some things that I thought were good enough for...
We're going to start drilling things and seeing how it goes. Okay. I never know which one's... Well, I think this one's for metal, and it's pretty small. I do a lot of this where I'll just kind of stare at things for a while. I look, I guess, pretty absent-minded, but if you've ever designed anything, you're like just winging things intentionally. I guess that's really just winging a step-by-step process. I do want this to be pretty symmetrical, which means I probably should measure, but I'm an adult. So this isn't like super exact, but it's pretty exact. Pikachu could be a Sith. I guess there truly is no going back now. I mean, I feel like you should measure a lot to make sure that something is lined up correctly. So the center to the top, yeah, it's 1.5 centimeters. That's, again, we're kind of eyeballing stuff. Okay, wow, there's junk. I don't know. You're saying that goes right behind the line. Right? Daddy's busy. Pretty sure I have like tiny screws. I know I do. If it says 10, does that mean it's in metric? Oh, that one's empty. 30s, maybe that is... It's such an odd-sized hole. Okay. Oh, hey. By power of induction, it's a very odd-sized hole. Don't be weird. Oh, what if I just put it on upside down? Ooh, that could be cool. I don't recommend ever doing anything through metal without eye protection. I know that there's like thread makers that you can put, I think, in metal and in plastic, and you effectively make a threaded orifice, threaded hole for stuff, things, like different types of screws and bolts and things like anything with threads. Cool. Hey, but it wouldn't be like that if, you know, you wanted to display it a little bit. It has like a built-in display. So, lightsaber, you can't see it from back here. This is effectively what it looks like. I did make it kind of on the larger side. I guess lightsaber wielders, it's kind of like batting, where I guess your left hand is lower if you're right-handed.
lightsabers are powered by little crystals called kyber crystals. Well, they're not really little. If you're a Star Wars fan, yes, I know there's a lot of stuff I'm glossing over here. It's kind of not a lightsaber without it.
And for the kyber crystal, hold on. It's kyber. I really thought it was Kuiper all this time. It's kyber crystal. So for the kyber crystal,
I think this is eventually going to be the house. And it immediately fell apart when I did that.
I want something that is gold. Obviously, this is not going to fit in here. So we're going to smush it. Where's my... I'm going to get some pliers. And a hand... Well, it's like, will it blend, but will it fit? Working, kind of. So this is where I say trust the process, because one of my exes, she made me watch The Holiday, like, during the summer. So I don't think that was one of the Katie's. 2020 was a weird summer. But the main function of them was that if you wanted to display the lightsaber, kyber crystal, which will go back here, will not be harmed or squished. I guess this is the center. Yeah, that actually is. This will go there. So it'll eventually be like that. We are all our own adults, or like whatever.
Side note, if anyone knows a better camera setup for multiple angles and doing stuff, I feel like there's something very obvious that I'm missing. I guess that's center.
It's not super fancy, but I think one of the smallest, most reflective things that I can do is actually use a gold rivet. Pretty underwhelming, I know, after all that. So I completely forgot to record this, and the kyber crystal is not very great. I thought I'd love the gold screw on top, but it looks a little tacky. So that may be subject to change, but for the most part, the idea is there and it's good.
So the really fun part here is now adding the extra flair. The base model is everything that was structural and had something to do with the weapon. But now you can just go crazy and start putting doohickeys on it.
Just realized I think I have a lot more machine screws, so we're just gonna go get all of my hardware from the garage because they're about the hardware that I literally just talked about. Oh, and this stuff. No, not that. And this. Really don't know why I didn't turn the camera off for that. Okay, we're gonna immediately take a break to go eat lunch and think about this. Well, my whole basement's unfinished. I ended up going with some options that I really liked. I have been trying to think of a lot of ways to make sure that things are functional. Some of the designs are coming from a purely aesthetic point first, but since this is going to be a Pikachu Jedi, I'm trying to think, okay, what would make it look like a lightsaber? How could I incorporate some form of Pikachu in there? Right now I'm doing that with a lot of gold. I want to make sure that everything not only looks cool, for lack of a better word, but also is functional. In both fantasy and sci-fi design, one of the biggest flaws that you will see is that people arbitrarily put things only because something looks cool. While I liked the asymmetry of this, I had to kind of think of a use for it. Because I have built the saber to be about like this is nothing more than a guard. It's kind of like a sword hilt, and it's going to be asymmetrical, which does provide an interesting look. And again, the function is, I just stuck myself with metal. That's fine. So we're going to keep adding things on here and drilling more holes and, doing the Lord's work.
Hopefully those instructions that we kind of had some timestamp stuff for were a little bit more helpful. I will post the second half of this video on Friday. We'll be going over the other finishing touches and making sure the lightsaber can travel around with you.
Ooh, I'm a ghost. I'm not really a ghost.
People don't kill each other on Black Friday anymore.
God, freaking sneaky feet. There's a Reddit for that. I know that I'm wearing a Christmas sweater right now. It's a metaphor.
I know this sounds unbelievable, but I do have an idea for a game show. It's called Crank That Hog, and it's where you teach pigs how to build and ride pig-sized motorcycles.
Man, this is cool. Go me.